What are you doing right that no one else seems to be?
Well, we've been very focused on transforming our business over the last 3 years. So my sense is that as other retailers and other branded goods companies have hit some of the dynamics in a changing market today, we had already begun positioning our business over the last several years and are well positioned for today's consumer.
How specifically, what are you selling that we want to buy?
We're selling a lot, hopefully, that you want to buy, although I'm looking for your handbag and I don't see it here.
We don't keep it on set.
You don't keep it on set. But no, we've been very focused on three different items. One is just really innovation on our product. We have a new designer over the last year and a half, Stuart Weitzman, who has just been terrific, and the consumer today is very focused on product. Two, we've been quite focused on the environment, on the store environment, the shopping environment, the online environment. And then three is on marketing and positioning our product. But it's a lot about authenticity. It's a lot about really what the product is that you're bringing to your consumer. And we began transforming our business several years ago ahead of the real headwinds that are being faced in the market today.
What were you doing wrong before? Why did it need a transformation?
So what we were doing before, which frankly, we were not alone in, was that we were driving or riding a single brand, a single product, a single brand, frankly, too hard. And we put too much in terms of growth expectations on a single brand, and we've stepped back from that. We took a lot of difficult decisions in terms of bringing the business back, reinventing aspects of the business, and just being very, very focused on the core brand. And
except you bought Stuart Weitzman. That's not the core brand.
Stuart Weitzman is a wonderful business, and it's very consistent with our business. So if you think about a luxury product that's got a very authentic brand proposition, a very clean brand that is positioned at a level that today's consumer can aspire to, Stuart Weitzman is the footwear equivalent in many ways of Coach.
How much of your success has been driven by the U.S. economy and how much overseas? And what can that tell us about the consumers?
Right. So our business is about 2/3 U.S., North America, to be more specific, and 1/3 overseas. A lot of the growth is coming from overseas, both China and some other geographies, and a lot of the growth is also coming from product such as men's, which has grown very substantially. It's a $700 million business for us today, with ample growth beyond that.
You have a view on China. Many people are concerned, especially in retail and brands. Things simply aren't selling there and inventories are piling.
Yeah, so you would have seen our CEO after our last earnings announcement, Victor Luis, who talked about how we've seen double-digit growth in China in the quarter ended December, partly driven by distribution, but also continued to be driven by comp store growth. So China continues to be our most substantial market other than North America, both in terms of Chinese consumer. But what you need to do when you think about China is not solely focus on mainland. You need to focus on the mainland, but you also need to focus on the Chinese tourist and follow her to Europe, follow her very substantially to Japan, with the weak yen being a real attraction to the Chinese consumer, and then follow her even with the strong dollar to the United States.
Do you reap the benefit of the fact that your price point isn't true luxury? So while the Chinese economy slows, that super high-end price point may be out of reach, but you're on the aspirational level. Could you benefit from the slowdown? Well,
we'd like to believe that our product is true luxury, but that our price points are much more accessible, absolutely. And that allows for it to be accessible to a broader swath of consumers, while at the same time much more consistent with where the millennial consumer is going today, which is value. So they are getting the quality, in fact, arguably better quality than some of the traditional luxury houses, but at a price that is much more representative of what they can afford. Yeah.
There's value and values.
Yes.
Values seem to be so important to the millennial customer, but also important to you. Can you speak to that and the concerns that could fall away in times when things are really slowing and it's tougher to sell product?
So let's talk about the millennial consumer, right? She is still buying. So despite a lot of the histrionics about is the U.S. consumer, particularly millennial consumer, still buying, she's still buying. You look at our categories, even though the dollars are more modest in terms of growth, the volume is substantial in terms of growth. So her focus is very much on, she wants authenticity. She wants a brand that actually stands for something, that's not just simply famous for being famous. And in that, if she finds that brand that is consistent with her values at a price where she feels she's getting a good value for her price, there's real interest.
So you're talking about values. You actually came here in part to talk about this group of CEOs that you represent.
Yes, that's correct.
Just give us a short talk on that.
So I've got a meeting today along with 50 other CEOs and chairs of 200 corporations. There are 150 CEOs, although 50 will be there today for a closed-door discussion, really talking about how business can impact society and can invest in society, and how that is both good for society, but most importantly, it's also good for business.
What's the name of this organization?
CECP, founded 16 years ago by Paul Newman in collaboration with a number of prominent business leaders from John Whitehead to Walter Shipley. Terrific organization.
You should maybe invite some of those presidential candidates who think big business doesn't do good things, because you certainly do.
They should have read Warren Buffett's letter this weekend.
That's right, I did actually.
Yeah.
Coach Chairman Jide Zeitlin, thanks very much. Please come back and talk about some of their activities with us.
Right.